Welcome to the Lemons and Pineapples podcast, the personal development podcast for folks who want more fulfillment, connection, purpose, and joy in life. I'm your host, Emma O'Brien, a no-nonsense coach, a seasoned entrepreneur, photographer, rescue dog mum, and happy life enthusiast. Each week on the podcast, I share tools, tips, and strategies, amazing guest interviews, and uplifting conversations that will help you improve all areas of your life. Let's dive in. Hi, folks. Welcome to episode 14 of season 3 of the Lemons and Pineapples podcast with me, Emma O'Brien. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how to build resilience. Now, in short, resilience is built by doing hard things and surviving them and reflecting on it and going, wow, that was really difficult, but yet I came through it. So the next time something really difficult comes up, I know I can handle it. And I had a fantastic lesson in resilience building quite recently that I want to share with you. So on the 11th of April, it was my first wedding anniversary, and husband and I decided to go away for the weekend to a little town in the Free State area of South Africa called Clarens. Clarens is situated next to the Golden Gate National Park, which is as fabulous as it sounds, although there doesn't appear to be a Golden Gate there, and there are hiking trails, there are lots to do. We had a look beforehand because we are really good at not pre-planning stuff. Or correction, my husband is really good at not pre-planning stuff. And to reflect on my previous episode talking about clear communication, I often wait for him to step up and pre-plan. He doesn't, nothing happens. So we pre-planned. I took charge and we pre-planned on this occasion. We decided we would go for a hike in Golden Gate National Park. Had a look on the website, saw there were a bunch of hiking trails. Some were 45 minutes, some were an hour, one was 4 hours. And it said it was suitable for ambitious hikers. Now, I identify as ambitious, and if I'm out walking in the countryside, I identify as a hiker. But apparently that was not enough for this particular hike. The trail said 4 hours. So I'm thinking, this is cool. We're starting about 10 o'clock. We'll be done by 2. Then we can go into town, have a little cocktail and, get sorted before we go out for dinner. Well, it didn't quite pan out like that. Off we went on the hike, and it started off okay, a little bit hilly, not so bad. Now, my hiking attire is always inspired by Adina Monsoon from Absolutely Fabulous. So I was wearing a floppy sun hat that doesn't have a chin strap and a regular pair of trainers because I figured, how ambitious can this hike be? We started off strong. The point at which there was a literal vertical scramble up a rock face that was littered with baboon poo, and we could hear baboons barking, and we had to pull ourselves up with a chain that was at the side. It should have been the first warning sign that this was not going to be an easy hike, and perhaps I had drastically overestimated my ability to navigate the wilderness. But I'm tenacious, so I figured, hey, this is quite fun. We caught up with some other people, and then we got to the top of this particular hill, and we were faced with a troop of baboons. We'd heard them, we'd seen the evidence they were there, and then we saw the baboons. And the baboons were in the general direction that the map is basic that they give you at reception for this place. It's not a contoured map. If it had been a contoured map, it would have been a hard no. I'd have done the 45-minute hike off the bat. But you know what? Never mind. So off we go, and then we decide there must be another route that doesn't involve walking through this troop of baboons, because I'm sort of seeing my life flash a little bit before my eyes here, and I'm thinking, you know what, I don't really want to get savaged by a baboon. They weren't causing any trouble, but they were looking at us, and, baboons have got big teeth. I'm not going to mess with a baboon. So we tried to go an alternate route. The signage was a bit confusing, and that started to get me a bit frustrated, especially when you're on top of a hill. There's a troop of baboons, and I'm not going back down the sheer rock face again. So I have to go in one direction. We faffed around. We decided that the only way to go was through the troop of baboons. That is the point at which I first felt the need to burst into tears, and the feeling of terror started to erupt within me. But I pulled myself towards myself and we kept walking. We were quiet. We didn't make eye contact. And I'm trying my best to emanate calm energy. Calm energy. Don't make eye contact with the baboons. That then at which point we're sort of moving around behind us. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, we are now surrounded. Off we went. They watched us all the way past, and I was getting ready to decide which particular snacks I was going to chuck them out of the backpack my husband was carrying if we needed to distract them. Anyway, they were fine. We were all fine. Off we went on the rest of the hike. Then we got to a point where the little white footprints, which were the only things directing you on the trail, veered in two different directions. The two people we were with said, we are going this way because we're not doing that big long hike. And my husband says to me, are you sure? You sure you want to do the 4-hour hike on the map? So I look at him and I say, how bad can it possibly be? I know I'm very tenacious. I'm quite determined. And I said to him, you know what? I don't quit. So we are going on this long hike. So he went, okay, your choice. Let's go. The other people, off they went. We're about 20 minutes off on this hike, and we meet somebody coming the other way who says to us, well, you know what, folks? You've got a really long way to go still. I'm thinking we've been hiking for an hour and a half. We should be almost at the halfway point here. Turns out we weren't. And the terrain got steeper and it got worse. And I'm fine, just under 5 foot tall. So I'm 1.5 meters tall. These legs are quite small. I'm built like a mountain goat. So going up things is fine. But then we started to have to kind of descend down the back of some peaks. And then we keep walking, and then it's getting harder, and then I'm getting tired, and then I'm thinking this was a really bad idea, but the only way we can go is forwards here. All we can do is keep going. We're at quite a high elevation at this point. So this hike in total took us up a 730-meter height elevation. And at the top of the peak, which we eventually got to, and I actually was very tempted to throw myself off the side of, we were 2,350 meters off the ground. So I think also there was, we've got a bit of altitude in there, which makes you feel a bit worse as well. We come round a corner and I'm thinking we really nearly have to be there now. And I'm faced with a really steep hill. And I'm thinking, actually, I cannot do this. What the hell? When is this going to end? And off we keep plodding because we just got to keep going, by which time the wind has started to blow quite heavily. So I'm having to hold on to my Adina Monsoon sun hat, which kept blowing off and blowing backwards. And I'm also walking with my shaman walking stick that I thought would be fun to take with me. And I'm also walking in regular trainers because, hiking, whatever, who needs shoes? I think, in fact, I had gone to the shops the week before with the intent of buying some proper walking shoes, but got distracted by some impractical, more sexy looking shoes. And I spent my money on those instead. And I was swiftly regretting that decision. We'd met up with some other people on the way who were sort of quite amused by the fact I was starting to get cross and frustrated. But I said they stopped to have a gap, have a break, and husband and I plodded on. And he says to me, don't worry, we just got to get up this hill. That's going to be the worst. And we're going to be on the top of the ridge and we're going to walk over that. And then we're going to start walking down again. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. We get to the top of this hill and we walk a little bit more. And do you know what was behind it? Another goddamn hill. And those goddamn hills kept coming. We kept getting higher and higher and further and further. And I got to the point where I was thinking, do you know what I wish? I wish a puff adder would come out and bite me so I could just die here and not have to walk all the way back down. Because I'm thinking, I'm having flashbacks from Kilimanjaro. I mean, I've climbed Kilimanjaro. So I'm thinking, when I thought about the 4-hour hike, I've climbed Kilimanjaro. How bad can a 4-hour hike be? Really bad. Really bad. Okay? Don't overestimate your hiking skills if you're not a hiker. say to Alfred, I just wish a puff adder would come out and take me out. And he said, what is that? How is that going to help you? I said, it's going to kill me. He said, yeah, in 5 days it'll kill you. I'm manifesting the wrong snake to try and put me out of my misery. Anyway, thankfully, no snakes came out and bit me. I don't want that to happen, but geez, it was getting to that point. We get to the top and we're rewarded by some vultures flying. So that was quite majestic. We managed to carry my binoculars up there with me. I'm holding on to the sun hat and I'm looking at vultures. Wonderful, beautiful, fabulous. Then we start the descent. Emma is in normal trainers that are laced up like a normal person would wear trainers walking around the shopping mall. And my feet are sliding into the front of these shoes. So my ankles are hurting. Everything is hurting. My toenails are now starting to hurt every time they hit the front of the shoe. It's at this point that I cracked and started to cry. And the husband turns around, looks at me, and he says, "Do you know what? I thought we'd have reached this point way sooner. So you are doing way better than I thought you were going to do. I thought you were going to be crying half an hour in. You've made it 3 hours in. Well done." And then he did my shoes up for me properly, so my feet weren't sliding around in them. And it was a steep descent all the way down. And I'm getting tired, and I'm crying, and I'm holding on to the sun hat. And then I slip and I fall and I land literally in a pile of shit. You couldn't make this up. I mean, it's funny, but it's funny. And I sit in the pile of shit and then I get up, I dust myself down, I go, and then I fall again. I fell over about 3 times. Luckily, I only slid backwards and the shaman walking stick helped to catch me. And off we go. And by the time the road is in sight, I am wiping the tears from my face as I am crying and whining like a 5-year-old about this walk. And by the time we got to the road, 6.5 hours after we started the hike, I could barely walk back to the car. And I learned a valuable lesson here. Don't overestimate your hiking skills unless you're fit and you hike regularly, because actually trying to check the elevation, check the distance, it's an 11-kilometer hike that took 6.5 hours. Granted, with me trailing around like a crying 5-year-old, a little bit of a challenge. I share this story with you, hopefully to lighten your day a little bit, because it was quite funny. In that sometimes the only way out of a difficult situation is through it. There was nothing to do other than keep walking. I had to keep walking slowly. I had to keep walking carefully. I didn't want to keep walking, but there was no option. There was no option other than throw myself off the side or try and find a more suitable venomous snake to bite me that would take me out immediately. And it's a wonderful metaphor for the hard things that happen in life. Is the only way out of difficult situations, the only way out of things that we don't want but can't change, is through. It's like a vicious, nasty hike where you've overestimated your abilities. But what happens at the end of something like that is you end up reflecting back and saying, I did it and I survived. So I also learned some lessons. So there is resilience all on its own. I did it and I survived it. I got through it. It was really hard. There were multiple points where I thought, I'm not going to get through this at all. There were multiple points where I thought, I actually can't get down off here. It's too steep. It's too rocky. I'm going to slip and snap an ankle. All of those things happening. None of them did. I got out and I survived, lived to tell the tale. And amazingly, I was expecting to not actually be able to move the next day. I was fine. So resilience is built by doing difficult things. And the more you do things like that, the more you can reflect on it and go, God, I did that hike that should have taken 4 hours and it took 6.5 hours, but I did it and I finished it and I managed it. What will I do differently next time? not go for the hardest hike because I think I'm super tenacious. I am super tenacious, but you don't need to actively seek out the hardest thing without prepping for it. I'm going to get some proper shoes and I'm going to get a hat with a string on it. Maybe not a floppy sun hat. I'm not Adina Monsoon, sadly, because she would have helivacked herself off the side of there. And I'm going to reflect on what lessons can I learn. Prep better. We took a litre of water with us for a 6.5 hour hike. Thank goodness it wasn't too hot, but it was very windy. Better prep. There were lots of things I could have done to make that much better, like not do it. But sometimes we don't have a choice about the difficult things we have to do that we can't not do. And this is how we build resilience, by doing things that are difficult, by doing things that are challenging, and by moving through them. But you can build your resilience in a more gentle way by picking something that is a bit of a stretch, doing it and completing it, and then picking something that's a slight more stretch. I don't advise going straight from zero fitness hiking skills to the most difficult hike on the frickin' mountain. I mean, hello. But that is how we learn. That is how we get better. And that is how I have fodder for the podcast with things like this to share with you. And if in doubt, one has to have a sense of humor about things like that when they go wrong. So I hope this was entertaining for you and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for being with me for my walking nightmare story. And luckily the walk didn't end in divorce, which could also have been a possibility. So until next time, folks, I will see you again. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed it, please leave me a 5-star rating and a review, and make sure you share this episode with a friend who you know will also enjoy it. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram. Please drop me a DM and say hi at Emma O'Brien Coach. And for more information about coaching with me, please head to my website, which is emmaobrien.coach.com.